I'm Natalie and this is James, and this is our home, Zephyr. We have been sailing around the world for the past 4 years, and now we have got a couple of stowaways on board. Meet Flint and Kira, 2 puppy Weimaraners that are joining the adventure. Subscribe and welcome to our channel, Sailing Zephyr. Well, good morning everyone. It's a little bit of a weird episode, this one, because James had to fly off in a bit of a hurry back to Australia to sort a couple things out. So he left yesterday. I drove him to the airport and came back, and I'm here looking after the boat and the doggies. So it's going to be a bit of a weird episode. I do have a lot to do. I'm going to show you pretty much what it's like being on the boat with the dogs on my own. It's super quiet and I do miss him a lot, but I've got a ton of jobs to do, so I'm just going to get stuck in and get them done. So this morning, me and the dogs went for a run, and now that I'm back, I am going to start cleaning the bimini and the dodger. I don't know if you guys have this problem, but it's been raining a lot and we've got a ton of mold. And the good thing is, because it's white, you can see it all. So I am going to clean all that this morning. The other job I have is I'm going to strip all of the varnish, that whatever's left on the tow rails. And this time I'm going to teak oil it with Total Boat's teak oil. I love trying new things. So last time I did the varnish, this time I'm going to try the oil and see how that goes. So those are my 2 main projects while James is away. Plus, of course, making the videos, editing, looking after the dogs. Yeah, let's see how we do here. I'm going to make myself a coffee first. And then I'm going to get stuck in with the bimini and dodger, which I won't bore you too much showing you how I do that, because it's pretty simple. And then hopefully this afternoon, get stuck in with the teak. Okay. All right, I had a tea instead. So cheers, drink this up, and then get started.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin.
I think I'm going to call it a day because it's getting really hard to do with the netting that we put up for the dogs. So that's making it proving super difficult. I wish I didn't have that there while I was doing this. But anyway, so that's been my day today. I did get to speak to James. He has arrived safely into Australia, and now he has to do a bunch of things in very little time. And I think because it's such a nice day, I'm going to take these guys down to the beach early before it gets cold later on. And it's a beautiful sunny day now. Who would have known that it would have turned to this? All right, let's go.
A bigger scale, the world inhales as we go.
five. High five. High five. Good boy. Good boy. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We have just woken up. It's still me and the dogs on our own while James gets sorted out in Australia. And today is going to be a little bit of a different day. We are off in about an hour. We are off to an oyster farm / harvesting. I am so excited to see this. For those of you that don't know, I am a marine biologist by trade, and all this kind of stuff, especially like aquaculture and stuff, really interests me. So I'm dying to know like the whole process of it and what they do out here in the Chesapeake Bay. So come along with us. Let's check it out. Let's meet, I think we're meeting Jason, who owns the whole entire operation. And he's gonna take us through his facilities and show us everything. So let's get ready and go. Good boy. Okay, go. Wait. Okay, go. A short drive and walk later, we are at the oyster farm. This main dock is where all the small boats like this one arrive with the Chesapeake oysters and crab. Meet Jason, the owner of Harris Seafood, who is going to be giving me a guided behind-the-scenes tour of the entire place. The history of this place is fascinating. Harris Seafood was founded in the 1930s and is the last full-time shucking house in the state of Maryland. These guys are also part of the Oyster Recovery Program and have restored the bay's oyster beds as well as promoting the development of the seafood industry. So you're Jason,
I'm
right?
Jason.
Jason. Yeah. And you own all of this?
I own all
wow.
this here. So started here when I was 13 and worked for the Harris family, and I guess in 21 years ago tomorrow, actually, they gave me the opportunity to purchase the place, and I've ran it in the same form that they did ever since, just expanding on what they taught me. So worked out. I've been here 38 years. So
Jason starts describing just how much aquaculture has changed everything.
oyster season is not in right now, so it starts October 1st, which is Monday. So it always was just oysters in the wintertime, October through March, and it was crabs in the summertime, March or April through October. In the past 20 years, there's been a big push for aquaculture in here, so that's kind of what we do now. Now that we raise oysters, we can raise them on a year-round basis. So we do oysters 365 days a year, and the crabs just fill in the interim. So ginormous oysters like this, that have been pretty much, that's about a 5-6-year-old oyster.
What Jason is beginning to explain is the first two processes that happen at an oyster hatchery: spawning and the larvae culture.
Get them to where they are ready to spawn, which would be, we're mimicking that July time frame, 70-degree water. And we'll put a whole table full of oysters, about 100 oysters. We'll have 100 blue and white buckets, 50 of each or 100 of each, whatever, around. The blue buckets for the boys, and the girl buckets are the white buckets. Because you can't really tell until they actually spawn which one is which.
Right.
And we don't want them to spawn and just the larvae disappear. We want to capture it. So we'll take one oyster and we'll shuck it. We'll actually cut it in half and expose that gonad material to the water. And instinctively, all the oysters will spawn at one time. At that point, you can see what they're doing. You put them in their respective buckets to do their business by themselves. And now you have the sperm and the egg, and you can manually fertilize it. And then you have that controlled larvae right there. Put it in huge tanks to grow it out, feeding it the proper algae. And we get to this point, as I said earlier, they're ready to attach to something, and we harvest them, and they'll give them to someone like myself. We'll take that larvae, 5 million larvae fits in a ball about the size of your hand right there. We'll take the shells from our shucking process that's been bleached and dried and sat on shore for years. We bring them back, put them in big tanks, fill it with shells, adjust the water salinity and where we want it, and we simply just introduce the larvae there. It swims around for 2 or 3 days, it goes into all the shells and attaches to the shells, forms its own top and bottom shell. We let it grow out for another 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks, and then we simply just take those shells, put them on a boat similar to this, and then we go out to the areas that we lease from the state. At that point, we simply just expel the shell overboard with the baby oysters on it, and they go to the bottom, and that's where they stay for the next 3 years. We don't touch them, we don't do anything, they grow.
Yeah.
At the end of 3 years, we farm them out, we harvest everything, and then we replant just to keep everything going back on. So we have several different leases, and we just kind of rotate crops in and out, much like you would a farm.
Yeah.
Keep the whole process going. The whole process is sustainable and continual, and barring any unforeseen diseases or anything.
Jason then takes me inside where the processing and packaging happens.
Behind the scenes.
First up, we arrive at this huge conveyor belt, where the oysters get cleaned and put straight into boxes like these ones. The oysters that aren't as good looking as their counterparts stay on the conveyor belt and get pushed into these buckets around the corner, that then go into the shucking house.
So it goes into the bucket and then in.
So if we pull people in here, then we're actually shucking oysters all day long. We're just wrapping up right now for the day. But the full swing will be here at 8 o'clock in the morning. So,
Once here, they get opened up and put into these little buckets, which go into massive pots to get cleaned, and also packaged for sale in most large supermarkets.
you just saw the shucking room. They're shucking, they're taking the meat out. The shells go into containers and then taken to a storage facility where we let them sit for a couple of years.
Right.
The sun bleaches the shells, dries them all out, kills any organic matter. And then we bring the shells back down, and we actually propagate the oysters at that point.
Next up, I get taken to the crabbing side of the business.
So they're just starting to come in now. By this afternoon, they'll be, you won't be able to walk in here, so they'll be sitting in crab.
So these are we call these the blue swimmers. Yeah. Wow. Wow, that. Yeah. They're feisty, these ones, aren't they?
And they're actually, the warmer they get, the feistier they are.
Yeah,
so
right.
They want to hurt you. They want to get you bad, just like that. So.
This is so cool. Didn't even realize we were going to get to see all this today.
Yeah.
Just to give you a little bit of history, last year was the most public fishery harvest that we've had in almost 40 years, 1986. Last year we harvested 670,000 bushels of oysters. In 2002 we harvested 24,000. So we've really increased, and it's growing year over year. The aquaculture that started since 2010, and it is, we're pushing 1 million bushels a year in Maryland's Chesapeake Bay. So
that's amazing.
It's tremendous. So.
Yeah, so interesting. You just don't realize how much goes into it. You really don't.
You don't.
No.
It's a lot of work. And I like educating people on the fact that where your food comes from and how much effort it does take to get something. Most people don't like investing for 8 years.
Yeah.
So
it's a
fund.
big investment,
and I'm putting something overboard that's I may or may not get back in 8 years. Depending. So, there's good times and bad times, believe me. But I wouldn't still be doing here if it wasn't, some good times.
No, that's excellent. All the ones that you lease out, like the areas, they're all in the Chesapeake.
They're all in the Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Well, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
That was awesome.
My
And machinery, how old is that?
The machinery was here before I was here.
Right, yeah.
We like to, our modern technology was invented in probably 1960. So,
That's
but it works.
excellent.
If it's not broke, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Huge thank you to Jason and the whole team for allowing me to walk around and film. It was so great to be able to see the whole extent of the process and just to see how much effort and hard work goes into this.
If you'd like to be a part of the journey and become a patron, go to the link you see here on the screen. Another way you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button.